Hey everyone, today is November 7th, 2023. We had a frost now, probably for the first time 2 weeks ago. I think it was late in October, so maybe 10 days ago, not quite 2 weeks. So, weeks before the frost, the tomato plants started dying out, I think just because of the cold weather. Frost is not what originally killed them off, but frost is what dropped all the leaves and tomatoes in here. My electric fence has been shut off for a long time. I use a solar fence transformer right over here on the side. This is where it goes. This stuff here is getting ripped. I'm probably going to replace it next year. This stuff here was so too much sun didn't get to certain areas and bake them as they were seedlings, so it wouldn't dry out the ground, the sun. This is like I use it as a shade curtain. So right here, I have a solar fence transformer. It's grounded, and this goes to all the fencing right there. The hose in here, I use the air compressor to blast it out so it doesn't freeze. Although in the past, I've never had a hose get destroyed from water freezing and expanding because it's rubber. It does a pretty good job. This, I believe, might be one of the cheaper hoses that will break in the sun. I just used it because it's a short distance one. I think that might be a PVC hose, which usually break after a couple years in this climate. If you live in a desert, if you buy a PVC hose, you're probably going to destroy it before summer's even up. But it worked awesome from Tractor Supply, their electric fence transformer. Awesome. It was powerful. I even heard a coyote yelp in the middle of the night. I'm assuming touched it. I touched it a few times by accident. It really scares you, and it says it can power up to 10 miles of line. I bought their second most powerful transformer. I could have got away with one that they had that only said 1 or 3 miles, but the juice wasn't as powerful, and I wanted something in case a bear tried to come in here. Although a bear, I was told by the Tractor Supply, you actually, if you know bears are around, you have to put peanut butter on the lines to get it on their nose or tongue, and that'll show them, because their fur, they're not going to feel it. Very thick fur. So this time of year, I can come in here. Everything's dry and cracking. These are marigolds, all full of seeds. I love marigolds, and I'll probably put them in other parts of the yard next year maybe. In here, they didn't really do much to stop the insects, although maybe they did. My biggest issue this year was slugs, which are not insects, they're mollusks. So normal insecticides don't keep them away, including marigolds, which are a natural insecticide, actually attracts the slug and eats them. Over here, I had a lot of tomatoes, which attracted an army of fruit flies, which I think the hard frost killed off. Last week, we had an inch of snow here, but yet one thing still lives, the broccoli. We had one night get down to, I believe, 18 degrees, multiple nights close to that, inch of snow, but yet the broccoli is still alive. It's so funny. And look, now that everything's bald, I can see there's a couple of rotten cucumbers that I didn't even notice in the thick overgrowth. The corn was really good. The corn never reached maturity because of my elevation. And it's not just that. It was a cold year. It would have been fine, I think, if we had a normal summer. This was one of the coldest summers I remember, with temperatures averaging just in the 60s. Average here is 76. Last year we got to 91, and it killed a lot of trees. The forest back here still looks thin. There's lots of dead trees. That's all because of, we had a couple years of drought followed by an above average last year. But this year was really nice. Rain almost every day. We come down here. The second most resilient thing was, unbelievably, the lettuce. See, I think it's still alive to an extent. Everyone thought the lettuce would have been destroyed, and so did I. It survived quite a few frosts. Like, I always put lettuce in my freezer to destroy it and make it mushy for feeding tadpoles. It's amazing it survived out here. Look at this. Look what's also still alive. They're very frost tolerant also. See this? I forgot a few. Carrots. All the carrots that I didn't pull out and leave on the ground. The leaves. Look at this. The carrots survived the frost too, which is kind of cool. I can go ahead and maybe pull up a few more. Although there might not be anything there because I destroyed the whole ground trying to get them out of there. So my hope is in the spring I can come in here, just cut down the vegetation, cut down the corn, and by hand with a hoe, I'm hoping I can break through all the roots of these plants once they dissolved over the winter and became so brittle. That's the hope. Just like the tomatoes over here, I'm hoping that they're just so brittle in the spring I can just smash them all out of here and replant. Next year I'm only gonna do half as many because this was so, I made it like aisles. Look at this, I can't go through these aisles. There's just too much. I'm gonna do half as many next year. Plus there was so many tomatoes I couldn't give them away. It created a lot of fruit flies. And look under here. That's probably a hole for voles because we don't have chipmunks that I've ever seen. Right here, I got a few good zucchinis. That little tiny zucchini's destroyed by frost. Cucumbers I want to do more of next year, Next year, I want to do probably very little or no lettuce. Look at this, there's still broccoli. This would still taste good if I brought it in the house. Even the heavy stem if I steamed it. We still got some broccoli. But this garden's just about over. In the springtime, I'll deal with this a couple weeks before planting. I'll come in here with the hoe, spend like half the day just turning over the soil everywhere. I might not turn it over on this side. I might be lazy and leave the liner down and just replant in place, and I'll just put a bunch of fertilizer. This side I'll turn it over, rebuild all these mounds to plant on top of. I'll definitely do corn again. That was successful. I really love baby corn, so I'm not even mad about that. But the frost, I went over there to try to open them. It destroyed the corn inside the cob. So over the winter, I imagine squirrels will probably get all that. Outside the garden, I didn't think I was going to get anything here. The slugs were so bad earlier in the year because it's right next to the woods. You put slug pellets to kill the slugs, but they just, endless supply coming out of the woods. So I had a squash, which is now destroyed from the frost. Right here, I got apparently another couple cucumbers that are destroyed from the frost now. There's an aspen tree in there. This whole thing's gonna have to be weeded. Wow, look at the root system of this thing. No wonder when this was an abandoned property, it was so hard to get rid of these. Because there was aspen trees about 4 feet tall everywhere here. And when I cut them down even to mow it, they were sprouting for 3 years before the root system eventually died. Right here we got asparagus, which survived the frost perfectly. Doesn't even look like it was hit. I put it in this pot because I was going to bring it in the house, but I'm not going to. I brought a second one in a smaller pot into the house, which is doing fine. I was told it won't survive our very hard winters until like 3 years. It might, so it's in the house for now. Hopefully it'll survive in the house. I was told to expect it to turn yellow like it's dying, but it'll sprout again in the spring. Don't worry about it. As you can see, my freezer is a little bit of a mess because when I buy things, I don't really put it in there neat or think about it. I just throw it in there. I got to organize this, actually. Got this freezer $67 off at Walmart because of a dent last year. It helps with extra food storage, so take this out. Those are the mice for the snake. These I bought on Amazon, actually just because I wanted the dry ice that it came with. Unfortunately, it was basically melted. Didn't get that much fun with that when it showed up. It was only $3 with free shipping, but for some reason, Amazon sent me like dozens of them. That was funny. But there was things in there I didn't even know about, and my hand actually hurts. It's like touching dry ice, some of these things, since the freezer's kept at negative 25 degrees normally. Look at all those waffles. I'm never going to eat them all. The raccoons at some point are going to have fun. I'll start cooking them up for the raccoons once it gets really cold out and they're really searching for food. Doing good with organization. Got to work fast so it doesn't start defrosting at all. But I gotta let my hand for a minute warm up from touching all that. Today I got in the mail, this is an emergency seed box, which they recommend you put in the freezer to help prolong it, because you can freeze seeds almost indefinitely, and then it can go a few years without refrigeration. Emergency seeds, instead of prepping food, instead you can just prep something that you can actually grow. 144 varieties, came in like an ammo can. that it said was good for storage, although this is not airtight one bit. Open it up. Now this is airtight, the Mylar bag inside it. And there's extra space for extra seeds too, if I wanted to add any. Go ahead and freeze that in there. And I actually made a lot of room in the freezer now. And the indoor tomato plant's doing well. Every one outside is destroyed. We got the grow lamp in here that stays on for half of the day. And this thing does produce a lot of tomatoes. I get to pick handfuls of them every week. You see in there? Pretty soon they'll be ripened. And look at this, we're even still growing flowers, although the plant is starting to grow a little scraggly in the house without sunlight. But with the tomato cage, it should be fine. And I expect we'll probably get a couple hundred more throughout the winter before it dies out. The plant will probably be too scraggly to move outside in the spring, but sometimes you can just take clippings off them, cut them at an angle and stick them in wet soil, and they'll actually root. And the little trimmings will become brand new plants outside. And this plant produced well. We've already got hundreds. You zoom in here, that's a fly trap, that glue ball. And you look down in there, there's actually a lot of them because of the rotten fruit. See it down there? All the rotten fruit down there is from when I brought it in outside. Once that rots, the problem should be gone. I have a lot of fly paper, and thankfully the flies, they don't leave the plant. They're down inside here. Up in here, there's a couple. If you shake it, yeah, there's barely any. But I got fly paper in here, which I think I need more of it. Probably going to go ahead and hang up like a ton more. Yeah, look at this piece of fly paper. It's got hundreds of them on it. Hundreds of them. And if anyone's interested in that box of seeds I put in the freezer, I'll put the Amazon link in the description. And I'll also put the eBay link from the seed packet that we used early this spring. It had such a variety, although most of it are things I never heard of, didn't want, so we didn't use it. I donated the rest of what was in the packet we opened in the spring, but that was also an emergency seed packet. Most of it was actually sprouting seeds, which you could grow in the winter in jars and things inside the house. But I'll leave both those links in the description if anyone's interested in buying those long-term seed storage packets. And if you buy it on Amazon, when I bought it, it was selling for, I think, $120. But you always have to look below on Amazon. I was able to clip on a $60 off coupon at the time of purchase, so I got it for half price. Amazon often will have huge deals like that, money off or percentages off, and I didn't even know it was a thing until someone pointed it out, that you can just clip it on. Hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.